my God.
Deadly storms cutting across the country this weekend. Now the cleanup starts after a massive storm system left a path of destruction. And a local man wanted for shooting at an officer in Oklahoma has been caught in New Mexico. We're now hearing from police on how the officer is doing.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News First at 4.
And thanks for joining us. I'm Darren Bob. Scott's here to talk about another windy day today, and not so much better tomorrow as far as the wind is concerned.
It's going to be a breezy few days, no question about it. Look, not near as bad as it was last Friday. I know we all remember that, but breezy nonetheless. Look at these numbers here this afternoon. Current wind gust up to about 30 across northwest Arkansas. You've got some 30s in east Oklahoma, some 20s mixing in with some 30s there in the River Valley as well. These winds all out of the south, keeping us a little bit warmer than it was yesterday, right? Those southerly winds probably continue through this evening, albeit slowly decreasing. And then we see those winds return tomorrow, and they're probably going to return again on Wednesday. Do have a red flag warning in effect for all of northwest Arkansas, parts of the River Valley. This map looks a little bit different this afternoon. Weather Service just about an hour ago expanding that red flag warning. Look, all this means is should a fire get going, it could spread pretty quickly. Let's all use some common sense and make sure that doesn't happen. Current temperatures out there, gosh, not bad at all. We're at 80 here in Fort Smith, 76 Fayetteville, 77 the temperature in Boonville. These numbers nice and pleasant. They're going to be nice and pleasant again come tomorrow with some quiet weather for the next few days. That's certainly something to enjoy, right? There are some weekend rain chances, even maybe the potential of a thunderstorm or two. We'll track that coming up in an all-new 7-day forecast.
All right, Scott, thanks. Right now, we know at least 3 people have lost their lives and more than 30 were injured after tornadoes swept through northeast Arkansas over the weekend. National Weather Service says the storms left EF3 damage in the Cave City area, with winds likely reaching 165 miles an hour. Jason Allen is in Missouri now, where countless other communities are also cleaning up.
Oh my God.
A severe storm system has pummeled the country, leaving a path of destruction.
Right here is where my room is.
9-year-old Alea Contreras convinced her family to evacuate their home in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, before a tornado barreled through Friday night.
I was like, we've stayed here through several tornadoes. It'll be fine. And then she was like, no, Mom, we need to leave.
Alea's mom, Kelsey Webb, heeded her third grader's warning, driving away minutes before the tornado hit.
You feel pretty lucky that something inside you this time told you to leave?
Yeah, we wouldn't be alive.
Dozens across the country have died in the storm. In St. Louis, tornadoes ripped apart homes and businesses and flipped over tractor trailers. Winds up to 80 miles per hour gusted through the South and Midwest, with tornadoes tearing down homes in Louisiana and ripping trees from the ground in Arkansas. Hundreds of thousands are without power across the country. A state of emergency was declared in several states, including Alabama, where a tornado threw a bus on top of a school building. In Oklahoma, wildfires ripped through the state, fueled by strong winds and dry conditions. Crews are still battling the fires, many forced to evacuate, with 130 fires reported across the state. Deer were seen fleeing the flames.
It still doesn't feel real.
Kelsey Webb is urging her children to see the good through the destruction.
We're all okay. We're not injured. We're alive. All the stuff can be replaced.
Jason Allen, CBS News.
Oklahoma police say the man suspected of shooting an officer in Muskogee County on Sunday has been taken into custody in New Mexico. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi went to Webbers Falls, Oklahoma to find out how the officer is doing and gather more details as they became available today.
Webbers Falls Police Chief Mike James tells me that his officer is out of the hospital and doing well following Sunday night's shooting, adding that things could have gone much worse. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says the injured officer suffered an apparent gunshot wound to the face. We're told Grants Police Department in New Mexico found the suspect Billy Wayne Williams' vehicle in a parking lot this morning. They say police tried to contact the suspect, who then shot himself. Williams was taken to a hospital where he remains in critical but stable condition. Back in Webbers Falls, Oklahoma, Police Chief James says this town of 300 has rallied around the officer.
She is okay. She is home and she's doing well. Actually, she's ready to come back to work. We've had a lot of prayers for her. We've had a lot of outreach for her.
Local agencies, including the FBI and local police departments, are all assisting in this investigation. OSBI says that they will be investigating the shooting portion of this matter. In Webbers Falls, covering news where you live, Jacob Luthi, 5 News.
On Capitol Hill, the Trump administration heading to court to defend the president's use of a 227-year-old war act to deport migrants that the White House says are members of a Venezuelan drug gang. Right now, a federal judge is holding a hearing to determine whether the Trump administration violated his order to stop a flight deporting 261 migrants to El Salvador, some with alleged gang ties. President Trump carried out most of those deportations under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. It's a wartime law that allows for quick arrests and deportations without many of the legal steps used for immigration cases.
And to be in court a lot. It's what they like to do. These rogue judges have to stop. This is an executive decision, and we are trying to make America safe again.
President Trump also questioning the validity of the pardons President Biden issued to lawmakers who served on the Select Committee investigating the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, meanwhile, says she's supporting new legislation aimed at toughening laws for immigrants in Arkansas illegally who commit violent felonies in the state. Today, she appeared alongside State Rep Francis Cavanaugh to endorse this bill. The new legislation describes a serious felony involving crimes like murder, battery, aggravated assault, terrorism, and arson. And if that person is here illegally when they commit a serious crime, the bill will reclassify the crime to a higher felony level, resulting in a harsher punishment. The governor also calling on Congress to dismantle the Department of Education. The agency was created in the 80s, distributing billions in federal dollars to colleges and schools, and manages the federal student loan portfolio. However, the governor claims the agency is just a, quote, pass-through, saying states shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get that federal money. In a statement, the governor says the department can't help but create thousands of onerous regulations all around all that spending. Our state's education programs are being controlled by nameless federal bureaucrats instead of skilled teachers in our own communities. Federal funding makes up a relatively small portion of public school budgets, only about 14%. Colleges and universities rely on it more. This is a story we've been following closely. The governor now has a bill on her desk that could bring executions back to Arkansas. The bill would allow nitrogen gas as a method of execution. If the governor signs it into law, executions could resume in the state using nitrogen hypoxia, a process that replaces oxygen in the body with nitrogen gas. The bill cleared the Arkansas House and Senate with strong support. Governor has 5 days now to sign it or veto it. And while she hasn't committed publicly, her office didn't try to block it. This is a live look now in Fort Smith at the Marshals Museum in downtown Fort Smith. In just about a couple of hours or so, Mayor George McGill of Fort Smith will deliver his State of the City address. Mayor expected to outline his vision for the city and provide updates on big projects for the area. The address tonight at 6 o'clock in the Reynolds Room at UA Fort Smith. If you can't attend it in person, you can watch it live on the Fort Smith City Facebook and YouTube pages. 2 American astronauts who've been at the International Space Station for 9 months, longer than they originally planned. They're a step closer to coming back home. Mark Strassman is in Atlanta as the world gets ready to welcome them back home.
Mission and liftoff.
Finally, the beginning of the end, launching an overdue homecoming for Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams. After liftoff Friday night, their replacement crew, 4 fresh astronauts, led by Commander Ann McClain, arrived at the space station early Sunday morning. Among the welcoming party, Wilmore and Williams.
It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive. So thank you so much.
After a short handover, Wilmore and Williams, along with NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, will board a different SpaceX capsule and return to Earth on Tuesday.
People are always ready to get back home.
Ken Bowersox, a former astronaut himself, now leads space operations for NASA.
It's always a little bittersweet, right? You miss your family, but you love being on space station.
How do you think they've handled it, all the attention?
Butch and Sonny have been great. I can't say enough positive things about them and how proud I am of them.
Wilmore and Williams' space saga is unlike any in recent memory. Back in June, their ride to the ISS developed propulsion problems. Their original 8-day mission stretched into more than 9 months.
I'm looking forward to sitting across from them and hearing about their perception of how things went and all about their time on orbit.
And what a story they'll have to tell. Mark Strassman, CBS News, Atlanta.